All right, everybody, welcome. This purpose of this video is to help you understand the renovation process or how you underwrite the renovation component for the multifamily property. So what I have done is I've entered a properties unit mix, which is the Bell Valley Ranch deal in Dallas, Texas. I pulled this information, the unit mix, directly from the materials provided by Bell. So now, when we think about how we underwrite the renovation, we need to go to the rehab page. And if we go to the rehab page and focus on this section, you can see that everything we've entered is now present in terms of the square footage, the rent, and everything associated with the units. The areas that I want to focus us on are the income per unit, and what that represents is the additional rent per month that you will be getting as a result of doing the renovation. The rehab expense per unit, which is the cost of the renovation per unit, and then the units rehabbed. So in this model, there are 340 one-bedroom, one-baths, and we are electing to rehab 340 of those units. So you would have the ability to do something less than what the total unit count is for each and every unit description. So if we go to our spreadsheet here, or our other, I want us to focus on the Bell Valley Ranch property here. So you can see there's a total of 590 units, which we entered on our Excel tab. You can see there's a $2.5 million capital amount that will be needing to be underwritten in our itemized capital on the expenses tab, but that is separate and distinct from the individual unit renovation cost and strategy. So we can see that we have sort of so we really only have one interior scope. Some of these other units, or other properties, have two interior scopes. But for the purposes of this asset, we only have a singular scope. So we are going to invest $11,000 per unit and receive $150 per month as a result, or that's what we're underwriting. So what I want us to focus on, however, is the sort of the net effect. And really, for all of you, all that you need to focus on is this last column, because this goes to a question that was raised earlier about how do we stage it by different by different units. And what this effectively is sort of the sum product, the weighted average of all of it. So the way I would want us to think about this is the $11,000 is the renovation amount to be applied to all 590 units, and the $150 is the additional revenue that we will be receiving. If, for instance, we were working on another one of these assets that had two scopes, like for instance this deal, the the Channel Side deal that has an interior scope on most or all units and then a partial scope, we would underwrite the entirety, this scope here, the entirety of that scope across every single unit. So we would not necessarily, we would not be underwriting these individual scopes. We would just be underwriting the aggregate scope here, the total. So if we go back to our what we were looking at in terms of the scope for this asset, we need to focus on the $11,000 and the $150. So you can see, remember, we had $11,000 per unit in expenses, and we had $150 per unit in additional income. So you would need to underwrite those or enter those numbers for every single unit. And in this case, we are underwriting, or we are rehabbing all the units. So in terms of what we would underwrite in this category for the renovation program, this is how it would be done. So again, you need to reference the value add box that has the property by property valuation strategy, the expense per unit, the income per unit, and then enter that here, and that will flow through to your expenses tab. You can see down here that will expand. This area right here will show that all of your units are receiving that that money as well as the rehab expense.